Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. The Ministry of National Security is now the designated authority responsible for processing all work permits for foreign and Commonwealth nationals. The change comes following the passage of an amendment to the Employment of Foreign Nationals and Commonwealth Citizens Act, Chapter 208, in the Parliament earlier this week. The amendment was tabled by Minister of Foreign Affairs Honorable Frederick Stevenson and shifts the responsibility for work permit processing from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Ministry of National Security.
Maybe in the past, when the Minister of Foreign Affairs was the minister responsible for issuing work permits, among other things, that this act was placed under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But now that the Act seeks to be dealing with matters more of a national security and immigration purposes, among others, we amend in this section the minister to read the minister with responsibility for issuing work permits, and that is properly placed in the Ministry of National Security, which has responsibility for immigration matters, among others. So that's a simple amendment.
During debate on the amendment, opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday expressed concern about the lack of clarity in the provisions of the bill. He also raised the issue of foreign nationals being employed in roles that could otherwise be filled by local workers, stressing the importance of protecting employment opportunities for Vincentians.
It seems to me that the definition, the changing of the definition, by not specifying the minister as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, but just saying the person who has responsibility for issuing of work permit gives more flexibility, so that if the minister changes, Madam Speaker, this is just to say, one of the things that is always a complaint about the issuance of work permits and the minister responsible for doing so and so forth. The criteria that are applied and the conditions that seem to be, flexible. You hear a lot of people complaining that there are jobs that they should be doing, locals should be doing, and foreign nationals are getting them and so forth, and they should be for a short period of time, whilst there's somebody local getting trained and so forth to do it, and that seems to just continue forever. So this doesn't address that, but it's an opportunity for us to just basically make note, Madam Speaker, of the intention that even when work permits are granted to persons who are foreign nationals to do specific jobs that maybe they're specific to a particular enterprise or business and so forth, and they need somebody to be there doing it.
In response, Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Sass, who also serves as Minister of National Security, clarified that work permits are typically issued for a period of 1 year. He noted that employers are strongly encouraged to provide training to local staff so they can eventually fill key roles. The Prime Minister said the aim is not to replace Vincentians, but to ensure that when expertise is brought in, it comes with a plan to build local capacity.
Over 90% of the times, whatever the Chief Immigration Officer says, the recommendation, which is usually about a year, people, is very rarely do you find maybe the medical school having a professor. They may want the person for 2 years or 3 years in those circumstances. But by and large, they tend to be for a relatively short period of time. A lot of times, they're 6 months. The point where the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, what is important is that even if it's for a year, but that gets rotated, you have to make a check so that the employer say, look, when this was granted, we all agree that some local person should be trained. What is happening here? So there is a process of inquiry and on this matter. It is not done in a routine manner.
The amendment is part of ongoing efforts to streamline immigration and labor processes while maintaining opportunities for local workforce development. In other news now, the government is placing a strong focus on on-site recovery and infrastructural development of tourism sites across the country in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. This assurance was given by Minister of Tourism, Culture and Sustainable Development, Carlos James, during a sitting of Parliament this week. Minister James was responding to a question from opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, who inquired whether in preparation for the upcoming tourist season, the government would undertake repairs and development of various tourism sites, including Fort Hamilton and Beckway, which he noted is in urgent need of restoration of restroom facilities and other improvements. Dr. Friday also raised broader concerns that many of the country's tourism sites remain underdeveloped or in poor condition, despite their economic and cultural potential. In response, Minister James acknowledged the critical role of tourism sites, stating that they are fully aware that the tourism sites are not merely scenic attractions, they are vital economic assets. He further stated that the ministry is actively taking steps to upgrade and develop these sites as part of a broader tourism recovery and sustainability plan.
Earlier this year, our government took decisive action and established an interministerial committee or a task force dedicated to the rehabilitation of and development of tourism sites across the country. This committee brings together key stakeholders in the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Transport and Works, and critical statutory bodies such as BRAXA, Tourism Authority, National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. And the committee, Madam Speaker, chaired by the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation and Sustainable Development, with a specific focus on the Department of Tourism and Policy, Planning and Administration. They have met, and over the past few months, they have actively conducted site visits across St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to conduct assessments, obtain technical estimates with respect to work to be done, and determine the scope and the necessary upgrades to sites across the country, including Fort Hamilton, Madam Speaker. This has not been overlooked. In fact, the Deputy Director of Grenadines Affairs, Mr. Carlos Williams, has been one of the persons who very early, Madam Speaker, even before the passage of Hurricane Beryl, had brought a proposal with the schematics and the designs, working along with some of the government agencies to further enhance Fort Hamilton on Beckway. And of course, those designs, Madam Speaker, will be adopted by the technical committee and how we can best advance the work on the rehabilitation of sites on Northern Grenadines and in particular Fort Hamilton.
As part of the government's approach, a comprehensive costing exercise is currently underway. Minister James said once this costing is complete, they will finalize a detailed schedule for the phased rollout of upgrades to tourism sites across the country.
This schedule is intended to ensure that each site receives attention ahead of the 2025-2026 tourist season. And I'm pleased to inform this Honourable House that works are expected to commence by mid-August for completion before the end of September 2025, barring procurement and other delays. Funding has been allocated in the capital estimates to facilitate rehabilitation and works at various sites damaged primarily by Hurricane Beryl. In the capital estimates, there's 2.2 million allocated for improvements of tourism sites. Also, there's an additional 1.1 million. The 2.2 specifically relates to Beryl recovery, and the 1.1 as it relates to improvement to tourism sites. This is in addition to funding to the National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority for site improvements and enhancements, focusing more on their green engineering and aesthetics. Madam Speaker, our commitment is not only to repair but to reimagine and have essentially the sustainability or the sustainable enhancement of these sites as they remain viable for generations of visitors and Vincentians alike. This approach, Madam Speaker, reflects the government's steadfast dedication to the tourism sector, community development, and our economic diversification as a government, country, and people.
Hurricane Beryl, which recently impacted St. Vincent and the Grenadines, caused significant infrastructural damage in several sectors, including tourism. Many popular sites, particularly in the Grenadines, suffered physical damage or were left inaccessible. With the construction of 2 new secondary schools at Orange Hill and Brighton, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is aiming to bring transformative advancements to the classroom experience, representing a continuation of the ongoing education revolution. This revolution, according to officials, is focused on expanding the curriculum and ensuring greater inclusion in the education system. This was highlighted by Minister of Finance Camilla Gonsalves during a sitting of Parliament this week. He was responding to a question from Opposition Member of Parliament Daniel Cummins, who sought an update on the Brighton Secondary School, which was expected to begin construction in the second half of 2024.
Be very clear, Madam Speaker, honourable members, that what the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is seeking to do with 2 educational facilities that we are currently underway with. One, the facility in North Windward, the Sandy Bay Secondary School at Orange Hill, and 2, this Brighton Secondary School, is to engage now in the transformation of the physical space within which children accept their education in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have done the revolution in terms of access. We are underway with the revolution in terms of curriculum and quality and broadening it into TVET and other fields. But honorable members would all agree that the evolution of the classroom experience has been incremental to date. And what we are trying to do now is to go beyond an incremental advancement to a radical and transformative advancement in the classroom experience for students. And these 2 schools, the school at Orange Hill and the school at Brighton, are going to be secondary school 2.0 in the context of what we are going to deliver for a school experience. And they're really, really exciting designs and concepts that are coming out there.
Minister Gonsalves clarified that the proposed site for the new Brighton Secondary School located in his constituency of East St. George is at Belvedere. He said the school will be constructed to accommodate approximately 500 students and will feature modern classrooms equipped with audiovisual systems and be spacious enough to support curriculum enhancements and student engagement.
The main footprint of the school is the former site of the former Huffles Ranch, currently being used by the Coastline Grill, and the chief surveyor is in negotiations with an adjacent landowner for the purchase and or acquisition of an adjacent lot to that facility to give it the full space that it needs to breathe. Preliminary designs were completed. The designs were done by TVA Consultants Limited, and those preliminary designs were fully interrogated by the Ministry of Economic Planning and the Ministry of Education on 2 separate occasions. So they came with their preliminary designs. The designs, some adjustments were made. TVA redesigned in accordance to those adjustments. They brought those redesigned, those fresh designs back. Again, there were some additional changes, mainly to do with smart classrooms, digital access, the airflow, to make sure that the place remains cool without excessive use of air conditioning and the like. And they are now finalizing the redesign. And technical specification and bills of quantities will be completed in August of 2025.
Responding to further questions on whether the school will include a dedicated space for skills training, Minister Gonsalves confirmed that a technical and vocational education and training TVET facility will be integrated into the school's design.
Dear Madam Speaker, honorable members, as we discuss the evolution of this idea, is that this school can and should become a magnet for students around the country who are interested in TVET and interested in the arts. So we're going to have music studios so they can come and refine that. It's going to have a band room so that they can work on music. And it's going to have TVET facilities. And we include the cultural sector, or they call the orange economy, in that TVET sector. That it's not just auto repair and that sort of stuff that is in TVET. But we hope that we're going to attract students who have an interest in those particular areas. The final cost cannot be ascertained with certainty, honorable members, you would appreciate, because the bills of quantities are still being finalized, and we'll get the bills of quantities in August, and they'll form part of the bidding document. And that is, I don't want to repeat what I told the honorable member for Central Kingstown related to some of the delays that we have had in the working out our relationship with the Saudi Fund. We're very comfortable working with the CDB, we're very comfortable working with the World Bank, but this was our first extended work with the Saudi Fund. We have modalities and they have modalities. We had to get to know one another, so there were some delays inherent in that project.
The minister also emphasized that new schools will reflect significant improvements in education infrastructure designed to enhance the resilience of the facilities in the face of natural disasters. The construction of the Orange Hill and Brighton secondary schools is part of a wider government initiative to modernize the education system. A state-of-the-art flour mill is now operational as the Eastern Caribbean group of companies ECGC ramps up production and sets its sights on expanding exports beyond the region. The facility was officially opened today at ECGC's headquarters in Camden Park, marking a significant milestone in the company's continued growth and modernization. Chief Executive Officer J. Robert Cato described the new mill as a transformative investment for regional flour production. He said the new facility represents a major step forward, not just for ECGC, but for food security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the wider Caribbean, noting that they are proud to play a part in building resilience through reliable, high-quality fruit production.
This flour mill, it signals more than operational advancement. It's a symbol of what's possible when a team is united by purpose. And it represents, importantly for this region, food security, regional development, and economic resilience. It is an investment in the rising power of the OECS region. And sometimes we use food security. I'd just like to illustrate, if for 2 or 3 weeks, our animal feeds or our flour is not able to get into any of the markets we serve, that has a knock-on effect to chicken production, pork production, and impacts pricing and the overall economy. So we take this business very seriously because, as we say in the flour industry, we must feed the people. This week concludes with Emancipation Day, a moment for reflection and reconnection. And so as we honor the past, we also look boldly ahead. At ECGC, we fully understand that our strength lies not just in infrastructure. Our true secret sauce is in the people and stakeholders who power this business.
The new flour mill is expected to increase production capacity by 35% while simultaneously reducing electricity consumption by 15%, a move aligned with both economic and environmental sustainability. Prime Minister Dr. Alvin Sals, who attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony, praised the company's vision and the scale of the initiative.
The export market of ECGC in the OECS and in Barbados, and you even go up to Jamaica, and now I notice you are trying to get more significantly into the US and also Canada and the United Kingdom. I think that's very ambitious, and those are areas where we have to try and tap in our expansion. But clearly our domestic market and the OECS market and the wider CARICOM market, and I'm pleased to see that Barbados is an important niche in your export market thrust.
As part of its ongoing collaboration with the government, ECGC received duty-free concessions to facilitate the development of the new facility. The company has been working closely with the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries to support the national and regional agri-food sector. Godwin Knights, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, commended ECGC's partnership, especially during difficult times in the agricultural sector.
ECGC has been a stalwart partner, always ready to support our farmers and national recovery efforts. This open-door relationship with the ministry has become a model for what public-private partnerships will look like in practice. In this time, though, of global uncertainty, rising input costs, shifting trade dynamics, and tariff challenges, we are depending on ECGC to continue demonstrating its established ethos of social responsibility by ensuring community of supply and fair pricing to customers.
The new mill is expected to not only improve production and export capacity, but also to bolster employment and food security in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the region. In an effort to attract investment and stimulate growth in the local manufacturing sector, the companies involved in manufacturing are now benefiting from duty-free concessions on imported equipment and materials. Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves, speaking at the official opening of the ECGC's new flour mill, confirmed that ECGC was one of the companies granted duty-free concessions. He emphasized, however, that this initiative is not limited to ECGC, but is available to any business engaged in manufacturing.
What is happening here? Give you all the duty-free concession on your equipment, on your spare parts, on your raw materials. We do that now for all manufacturing enterprises in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You just have to make the application for it and tell us what you are doing. And of course, the board is not insensitive to all the considerations. So the next time any issue arises, they will say, well, we just invest $15 million. So you have to hold our hand a little bit more. And that is reasonable. Because in addition to that, I have to consider what you lose on the swings there. Dexter, you gain on the roundabout, because I started with all the roundabout on which we gained. And this is how, in these small countries, you have to do it.
The Prime Minister noted that providing these initiatives is part of the government's broader strategy to increase competitiveness, reduce operational costs, and support local job creation. As part of the National Emancipation Month of celebrations, the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, in collaboration with the Diamondites Community Organization, will host a community wake tonight, Thursday, July 31st, from 10 p.m. in Diamonds Village. Held under the stirring theme, Embracing Our Past, Forging into the Future, a news release from the ministry says the community wake will be a night of deep cultural and spiritual significance, honoring the legacy of our ancestors and the long walk to freedom. The program will feature praise and reflection, solidarity messages, and cultural presentations. The program serenaders with performances by local artists, followed by a solemn candlelight march and a reading of Emancipation Declaration at 12:05 a.m. A symbolic moment that will mark the dawn of Emancipation Day and enduring a fight for freedom. The ministry says the event is a cornerstone of its efforts to promote cultural heritage, historical consciousness, and integrational connection within communities across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Members of the public are invited to attend and participate in the remembrance celebration and recommitments to freedom. The National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, the NTRC, successfully hosted the first round of judging for the robotics category of the 2025 iCode 784 competition on July 29, 2025, featuring presentations from 5 secondary school teams in Zone 1. Participating schools included the Emmanuel High School, Mesopotamia, Mountain View Adventist Academy, the Bookament-based Secondary School, Thomas Saunders Secondary School, Georgetown Secondary School. After a series of innovative and high-energy presentations, the judges selected 3 teams to advance to the finals, scheduled for October 22nd, 2025. The advancing schools are the Emmanuel High School, Mesopotamia, the Mountain View Adventist Academy, and the Thomas Saunders Secondary School. This year, the robotics category was introduced as a new, exciting replacement for the previous IDEA category. The judging process has been split into two zones, with Zone 2 set to present on August 19th at the Girl Guide headquarters. 10 schools are slated to compete in this round. Criminal activity in the Grenadines has seen a significant decrease since the passage of Hurricane Beryl, according to Sergeant Orlando Collins, who works at the Union Island Police Station. Speaking on the Cop Chat program on WFM this morning, Sergeant Collins reported that the drop in crime is largely due to the population shifts following the storm. Collins noted that after the destruction caused by the hurricane, a large number of residents temporarily migrated to surrounding islands. Now, they are beginning to see them return as Union Island continues to re-establish itself.
Well, presently at Union Island, we don't have much criminal activity per se. The criminal activity on that island would have ramped up since the passage of Hurricane Beryl, because we had a lot of issues dealing with looting and other offenses, theft of animals and so after the passage of Hurricane Beryl. But other than that, the island is relatively quiet. Other than that, when Hurricane Beryl passed, there was no form of electricity on the island for quite some time. So persons were dependent on using generators, and a lot of persons would have left their homes and migrated elsewhere. But now that more persons are back at the residence, we have less of that going on.
In addition, Sergeant Malcolm Alexander, who works at the Beckway Police Station, noted that crime rates in Beckway have also remained low. He said so far they have not recorded any serious offenses when comparing this year to the same period last year.
And they do have a nightly basis, and I get the beach cover, and send personnel and beach patrol nights and any day. So we don't have no serious offenses so far. And the crime rate from last year, the first half of the year, we have 75 crime with 21 arrests. For the first half of the year, we have 45 and 15 arrests. So you see the vast difference in between the crimes. And in burglary for last year, we have 15. For the first half of this year, we only have 3. We have 20 theft last year and 6 this year. So there's a big difference with the police presence on the road, at the beach, and on the sea. And that leads to personnel from committing their activities.
Both officers emphasized the importance of frequent community engagement as a tool for crime prevention in the Grenadines.
We don't have, at Union Island, we don't have meetings per se. But what I will do, as you just said, I normally do walkthroughs, and the other NCO normally do walkthroughs. So what we do, we go about, we'll have conversations with those business people and other community members to get some